It is remarkable to me to hear politicians say, listen, we're going to pay for health care for illegals coming into the country. We're going to use your taxpayer dollars to do that. At the same time, we're going to eliminate your private health care insurance. You know, they're all pushing for the single-payer system. Of course, they're not on it. These politicians in Washington have special health care. Members of Congress, United States Senate, certainly the president and vice president, they all have the best health care in the world. What do they care what you end up with? Doesn't matter to them. Most of them have great health care for life, which brings me back to anything they vote on, they should be included in. Marie Buerkle is here, former nurse, congresswoman, and Consumer Product Safety Commission chair. Anne-Marie, thank you for being here.
Good morning, Steve. Always good to be with you.
All right, so am I reading this right? Insurance for the illegals, money for the illegals that you and I get to pay for. Of course, Kamala Harris wants to pay for transgender surgeries on violent felons in prison. She got that done in California, thinks that should be the law of the land. Crazy to me. But at the same time, she wants to get rid of all private health care insurance. I mean, the single-payer system must be all she wants. Or am I misunderstanding?
You are absolutely spot on with her agenda. Now, the key is she's going to try to change her agenda as she runs for president. When she was in the Senate, she co-sponsored Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill, which is exactly what Americans don't want, and that is Medicare for all. She also has voted in her administration with Biden. They have cut Medicare Advantage twice for seniors, first time in the history of Medicare Advantage. So this is an agenda. It's a radical agenda. It is to get rid of private payers. And I implore the Republicans as well as the voters to understand she's going to want you to think she's very moderate, but she has a very radical agenda when it comes to health care.
Radical, to say the least. Look, I did a documentary last year. Rural hospitals around this country are closing all over the place. Ambulance services are going out of business. And the reason being is they can't afford to stay in business. And a lot of it goes back to government policies, not all of it, but a lot of it saying, hey, you have to take anybody who walks through the emergency room door. You have to pick up anybody who calls the ambulance service, whether you get paid or not. Kind of a tough way to make a living if you're not getting paid with people walking through the door. And now they're saying you have to take whoever else walks in, no matter where they're from, this country, any country, you got to take them all. Well, we'll have a lot more hospitals bankrupt, a lot more ambulance services bankrupt if we continue to do that, won't we?
You're absolutely right. We've seen many hospitals already. They can't sustain this care that they're not getting compensated for. So I would say to your voters, to your listeners, to please educate yourself on her positions, because she is radical, and she's going to take now this opportunity during her campaign to try to flip-flop on so many issues, whether it's fracking, whether it's the border, whether it's Medicare for all. She's going to try to back away from those positions because she knows very well, and the Democrats do as well, that the American people don't want her agenda. They don't want it. We saw that in 2020 when she tried to run for president, because she was forthcoming with her positions then. So the American people really need to understand this woman is radical. She wants to eliminate private payers in health care, and she wants the government to be completely in charge of your health care. And if you've been involved with the government, you know that's a very, very scary thing.
Yeah, it is scary. And I'm pretty sure that she doesn't really stand for anything. I mean, that's what I don't know that she stands for anything. She stands for whatever is available to get her a couple of votes. That's what I've come to learn about Kamala Harris. She doesn't have any baseline principles. She's transactional completely. And if that means selling you out or selling me out, that's fine as long as she wins. She doesn't care. That's what I see.
I think you're right. I think her core is a very radical liberal agenda, but she'll say or do anything to get votes, to your point. And it's really, the American people need to understand her agenda is a radical one that America doesn't want. She was soundly rejected in 2020, and now she's been foisted upon the American people because the Democrats have completely obliterated any system of democracy.
So how do we prevent it from happening? I mean, look, you've got $500 million or more that are going to be spent to tell the world that Kamala Harris is the greatest politician, the most transformational figure in American history. She is incompetent. inept she was the border czar. They don't want to admit that. She was the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. They don't want to admit that. She's soft on crime. She put 2,000 people in jail for smoking weed, black people, by the way, and then laughed about smoking weed. Says she's from Jamaica, by the way, so they all smoke weed, was her joke. It's a frightening time, and because I see her as having a 50-50 shot at winning right now. I mean, I'm concerned. I'm not going to lie about it. I am concerned looking at the way they're piling the money behind her and the way they're going to convince young people by way of TikTok and Instagram or however they do that she's the greatest person ever. You got to vote for her.
I think you're absolutely right. The Republicans need to be wary of her campaign and need to really understand nothing is a given here. And although Trump was ahead in the polls, that could change overnight. And as you say, her campaign's going to be one of deception. She is going to be one person who has erased the past, and I've got a clean slate now, and I want health care, with insurance companies, and I'm very moderate. That is not the case. She wants to obliterate, and think about that, obliterate private health care insurance when it comes to your health care. It's ridiculous, but that's where we are in this country. And again, she was foisted upon the American people and really shouldn't be there. Now, I'll say this, and it's why the populist agenda is so popular and why people are, why they like President Trump, because he puts the American people first. And she doesn't do that. She puts everyone else ahead of the American people. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the voters have to think about. Do you want someone who's going to really represent you or represent everybody but you?
Yeah. There you have it. It's a dangerous place we are. Because, look, they have spent 10 years painting Donald Trump as some sort of a monster. They've pursued him in the press, and then they've pursued him politically, and then legally. Then they tried to get him killed, and the whistleblowers there at the Secret Service say they're not done trying to kill him. Exactly. So, what happens from there, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right, and it's going to be a campaign. Haven't you been amazed at how her complete past has changed? She's not the border czar. She wasn't responsible for the 11 million illegals who've come into this country. The media, along with California and Hollywood, really are going to try to push her over the finish line, and it's going to be up to everyday American people to understand what her agenda is and to get out and vote and to get your family out to vote and to help them understand if you want to keep your health care, if you want to keep your private payer, if you want to keep the freedoms this country has and stands for, Kamala Harris is not that person to do that, and we really, really need to make her go away.
Anne-Marie, really appreciate you being here, and we have to pay attention. We have to talk to every person we know. And listen, just tell them to watch the things that she says. You don't even have to make it up. Let her speak for herself and just play a video. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Anne-Marie, greatly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Yeah, we can keep an eye on it. And like I said, Kamala Harris narrates her own commercials.